This is Nick Fuentes. I've talked about him a few times before, but I want to talk about him again. He just went on Tucker Carlson's show, and it has caused massive infighting on the right. Like, people are melting down over the fact that Nick Fuentes is gaining some degree of influence, and it's been interesting to watch. Let me just kind of introduce you to him if you're unfamiliar.
All of the realist in history were virulent anti-Semites and racists.
This is a brand new clip, by the way.
Can a just pop off real quick? George Washington, racist. Abraham Lincoln, racist.
And these are good things about these people in his mind.
Christopher Columbus, racist. Jesus split the veil. His parting gift is that he tore the veil covering the Holy of Holies and shook the earth.
You know what's fascinating about that one? Nazis actually claimed that Jesus was the first anti-Semite and the first Aryan. They claimed that he was like blonde hair, blue-eyed, not Middle Eastern, but actually Aryan, born of a Roman father and all kinds of insane stuff. And it sounds like Nick Fuentes is kind of attaching to that a bit. They claimed that this is the theological basis for their belief system. They claimed Mary got pregnant by a Roman soldier named Julius Abdes Pantera or something like that. Pantera was the supposed soldier's last name that they supposedly found a tomb of and all this other nonsense. None of it's real, obviously. But being born of a Roman father would mean that he was Aryan, because Romans are, they're close to Aryan, like this close to Aryan in their minds. They used all kinds of mental gymnastics to get there. I think it's so disturbing that this dude has gone full Nazi, right? I mean, he says he likes Hitler. He debated Alex Jones on whether Hitler was a good guy or based. I think, was Hitler based was the question.
So the more that I read that, I'm just translating it in my head as real. When people say white nationalist, racist, anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, I'm just reading badass motherfucker. I'm just reading real ass Nick.
Colossal scumbag, obviously. And he kind of like draws out for us the concern in this next clip.
You can call me a Nazi. You better be careful, because if I'm a Nazi, then there's millions of young people that are following a fucking Nazi.
No fucking really? So you're telling me I shouldn't call you a Nazi because that would be bad if you were a Nazi? Yes, I realize that. Yeah, obviously, yes. That's concerning. Do you think that you're only a Nazi if people call you one? Is that like the premise here?
So you better be careful about those words. You're saying I'm a Nazi, I'm a monster. There's a million monsters then. There's a million Nazis out there then, because they love my show and they agree with me way more than they agree with you, and they're pissed off.
Yep, I know. That's disturbing. I'm not sure where you should be careful about calling me a Nazi bit came in. Like, where did that come into the equation?
And they'll follow me into battle. So you better be real careful. You're barking up the wrong tree with that.
Anyway, he's a colossal scumbag. And fascinatingly, Greg Locke, of all people, is appalled by the far right at this point. He's still a far right nutcase in his own right, but there's definitely a schism. This is from before. He's about to address this old supposed prophecy that he laid down. I think that he said this like a month ago or something.
The conservative movement will no longer look the same, because the deciding factor of where you stand with Israel is going to divide it. Listen, not right down the middle. It'll probably be about a 60-40.
So he said this like a month ago, I think. And he's going to claim that this is a prophecy that is now coming true, that God gave him this information from on high. And this proves that he communicates with God. Bro, this has been going on for like years at this point. There's been a split between the Nazis and the Zionists in the far right for like ever at this point. And it's just now in the past 6 months getting pretty intense. Well, the past year, it's been getting really intense since Trump won.
60% of conservatives are going to take a stand against the Jewish people.
I don't think so. Right now, I think it's like 32% stand against Israel in the conservative movement. And as we know, there are basically two wings of the Republican Party. There's the Zionist wing and the Nazi wing. Nobody supports Palestine in the Republican Party. You either support Israel or you fucking hate Jews. Those are pretty much the only two options in the Republican Party. Because they don't give a shit about people's well-being. They don't care about human rights or suffering, or they don't care. They don't care. They care about getting what they want. And the Zionists want Jesus to return, and they need Jews to control that region before he can. And the Nazis fucking hate Jews. So they just, they want them to suffer at any cost. That's what it's about.
And about 40 are going to have enough wrought iron backbone and half a Bible and half a brain to know that we better not get involved in that 60% side. And I promise you, the very next thing that will rock the midterms and the very next thing that will rock the 28 election will be whether people stand for the nation of Israel or not.
So he's saying that there's a massive fight coming in the conservative movement. That's interesting.
That is the absolute facts.
I think there might be a big fight, but I don't think it's going to get as big and dramatic as it seems, honestly. Infighting doesn't normally get ginormagantuan like that on the Republican side.
So we're talking about a clip that was, well over a month ago, and
Wow, he's a prophet of God, guys.
Is prophetically coming true right now because the conservative movement, shall I say the red hat MAGA movement, is being split. And it's not being split right down the middle. It's being split 60-40.
No, it's 30-70. 30% are Nazis. 70 are Zionists, give or take, in my opinion.
And I hate to have to say this, but I'm telling you, the person that the devil is using to split the conservative movement is Tucker Carlson. The guy that we never would have imagined. And I mean, this guy has doubled down on his Jew hate. Now, Candace Owens, she's gone buck wild, psychobabble crazy lately with just about everything that she's talking.
So the point is that Greg Locke is engaging in conservative infighting, and I'm here for every second of it. But he's upset that Tucker Carlson invited Nick Fuentes on his show to talk. And fascinatingly, after Fuentes went on Tucker Carlson's show, the head of the Heritage Foundation, of all people, Kevin Roberts, defended Tucker Carlson's decision. And it led to such a massive schism in the Heritage Foundation that Kevin Roberts had to apologize and said he was willing to step down. But he said he wanted to clean up his mess before he stepped down. I mean, it's real. This is real.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
The crack up at the Heritage Foundation is a warning sign for MAGA world. The Heritage Foundation is no ordinary think tank. Since the days of Ronald Reagan, it has been the conservative movement on the march, delivering ready-made policies and battle-hardened pundits to Republican presidents. Heritage spoke proudly with one voice, insisting that its scholars take a unified stand on key issues. Yeah, Heritage Foundation is the conservative movement. They write the bills for Republicans in the United States. They are the entire movement. And the Heritage Foundation was created by ex-KKK leaders, basically. People who were unhappy about the Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court decision. Now they can't discriminate legally against black people. That's who started the Heritage Foundation, those people. Today, that almost military discipline has collapsed, and many current and former staffers blame Kevin Roberts, who took over as the foundation's president in 2021. They joke that the group's operating principle is now more of a one-man policy, with Roberts moving aggressively to align the think tank with the Make America Great Again movement. As Democrats revel in their electoral success this week, the divisions at Heritage highlight growing fractures facing President Trump's winning 2024 election. The long-simmering conflict between Roberts and the Institute's old guard spilled into public view in recent days. The immediate cause was a video posted by Roberts late last month defending Tucker Carlson, who drew widespread condemnation for his respectful interview with the right-wing influencer Nick Fuentes, an avowed white supremacist and Holocaust denier. That's fascinating, right?
Joined on set by our international affairs and former Washington correspondent Kevin Gorgeous-Stani. So why was this interview specifically triggering so much controversy?
Well, look, first of all, it's because of who Nick Fuentes himself is. This is someone who has in the past and repeatedly held some very controversial position, to say the least. He has denied the Holocaust. He has praised Hitler many times. He has expressed deeply racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, misogynistic views. And I'll just give you one example from his own podcast, America First, from back in March, when he said the following. He said, Jews are running a society. Women need to shut the F up. Blacks need to be jailed for the most part, and we would live in paradise. It's that simple. This is someone who hasn't hidden these position. During the interview itself, he called for an exclusive pro-white Christian movement in America. He railed against what he called organized Jewry.
Why did they show an old picture of him from like 10 years ago when he looked completely different? That's weird.
He said was a threat to the existence of the United States. The other reason why it was so controversial is that given his positions, it was a very complacent, very friendly interview that Tucker Carlson did. And Tucker Carlson, a former Fox News pundit and presenter, is known to be pretty tough, even on fellow conservatives. And so the interview became very quickly a top viewed episode for Tucker Carlson on YouTube, nearly 6 million views already.
Yeah, and Nick Fuentes in the video said things like, I like Joseph Stalin, I'm a fan, I celebrate his birthday every year, December 18th, I think. And it's like, all of this bullshit you talk about hating Marxists and Leninists and communists and everything, and you're gonna let Nick Fuentes sit here and say some shit like that with absolutely no pushback whatsoever. It was almost like watching him do the Vladimir Putin interview again. It was so vanilla. Anyway, the point is that Kevin Roberts of Heritage really screwed the pooch, if you will. He stepped in it hard, and people are not happy with him as a result. People have been quitting the Heritage Foundation, leaving completely, unless he resigns. I mean, it's a big deal. Roberts' critics say the video amounted to a reckless invitation to anti-Semites to join the Republican establishment, which has long sought to keep at bay the party's most radical fringe. Roberts has acknowledged in recent days that the video was a mistake, but it hadn't quelled unrest at the think tank. When Trump rose to prominence and upended the conservative movement a decade ago, Heritage was left largely on the sidelines. Roberts' mission has been to make the group relevant again, according to Heritage employees and others close to the think tank. And he succeeded. I'll give him that. He did succeed in doing so. Anyway, the reason that I wanted to talk about that is because Nick Fuentes addressed it directly. Let me actually see if I can show you the video of Kevin Roberts even mentioning that. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. Okay, this is the video I was looking for. Check this out. This is Kevin Roberts commenting on Fuentes and Tucker Carlson.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington.
Wow. So that wasn't just supporting Tucker Carlson's right to do an interview. It was saying Jews control the world and we need to fight against them. That was very clearly signaling that he is a neo-Nazi, right? I mean, there's something to say about AIPAC controlling politicians and things. I absolutely agree. But we're talking about neo-Nazis who who are Holocaust deniers. And Kevin Roberts repeating Holocaust deniers' opinions, not on that specific subject, but directly talking about them.
The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support, and we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him.
Again, like this isn't even about the fact that he defended Tucker. The opener there seems pretty damning to me. But Nick Fuentes, he commented on the fact that the Heritage Foundation supported him. Listen to what Fuentes said about this.
What this signifies is that Heritage, the accreditation institution, the brain, the priestly class that promulgates the Republican dogma, if that institution says that Groyperism is up for debate, it's on the table, it's not canceled, we should talk about the ideas, and we should defend the people that defend the Groypers or talk to the Groypers. It signifies that, one, that place is a safe harbor, as I said before. So a Groyper could go to work at Heritage and maybe feel welcome and comfortable, and he won't be fired. And you might have a Groyper at Heritage who is going to be writing a policy paper about, who knows, foreign policy, education, immigration. They might be considered like an expert, and maybe they'll go on to be a legislative director for a senator, and they might be writing laws for the U.S. government. It's conceivable.
It is conceivable, and that's what's so fucking disturbing about it.
If the president of Heritage says Tucker is in the Big Tent, then that means that Tucker and Nick Fuentes sympathizers are allowed to be employed at Heritage, and thus they might be in the position to determine the dogma. They can write the doctrine.
Yeah, I would venture as far as to say that Tucker legitimized Nick Fuentes on a national stage by doing that interview and being so softball about it. And Kevin Roberts has very clearly bought into it and is totally fine with all of that. I mean, he's paying the political price and he apologized for it and everything else. But you know, when these people apologize for shit like this, they don't actually mean it. They never actually mean it. So anyway, disturbing is that Fuentes is being legitimized. Interesting to see the infighting, though. And in my opinion, the more infighting there is, the better. I do not want unity between these fucking nutcases. Yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments.